Welcome, and today we're going to talk about a topic I normally don't talk about on my videos and my blog, watches. Today I'm going to talk about my trusty Rolex Explorer II, the Polar edition. For those not familiar with the Rolex Explorer II, it comes in either black or white, the Polar edition, and both are made for extreme conditions. In fact, the original genesis of the Explorer was taking it up on Mount Everest with Sir Edmund Hillary, the first explorers to tackle Everest. I'm not a watch blogger, I'm not a watch channel, and I'm going to leave the technical reviews and all of that good stuff to the experts. I do subscribe to many watch channels, so there's plenty out there that can talk about all the watch geeky stuff. However, my review is not about what makes the Rolex and all that other, secret sauce that other guys talk about. I'm going to talk about how I use this tool watch for what it's intended for, a critical piece of equipment for my explorations, expeditions, and adventures. Okay, that's what this is made for. Okay, it's a tool watch, and mine's banged up and has some scratches, not on the sapphire crystal, but it's a tool watch made to take it out in the wild. So where are some of these extreme places I've tested it? I have taken my trusty Rolex on every trip and adventure since I bought it in 2017. Okay, I've taken it to glaciers on Mount Denali, to the Brooks Range in the Alaskan Arctic, to the high Rockies, and to the lowest place on earth in the Dead Sea in Israel. Okay, so my Explorer has been a constant companion to the highest places and certainly the lowest places on the planet. So let's see how this watch did and how it held up. Glaciers and Mount Denali Mountains. It doesn't get much harsher than North America's highest peak, Mount Denali, with hurricane force winds and sub-zero temps. While I didn't climb the peak, I did a flight around the summit, which was really cool and awesome, in an unpressurized bush plane and a glacier landing to hike across one of the glacier fields. The landing was a little rough in that bush plane, and we were hiking on the glacier itself. A bush plane with skis landing on a glacier on a mountain is not what I would call a smooth landing. It's a lot of bumping and banging around both on takeoffs and on landing on the ice. So certainly that watch got a lot of shaking. Okay, the bush plane pilot, she also had a Rolex, and she does this for a living, so she knows the value of having a watch. All right, offshore fishing. I do a lot of fishing, if you haven't noticed that from my videos and my blogs. So when in pursuit of big game, from marlin to tuna, you are tested by one of the harshest environments on the planet. Offshore fishing is constant motion, heavy seas, 8 to 10 foot rolls. Every now and then you do get hit with a rogue wave. That happened to me, and I took a header, really banged my head really bad, as well as non-stop salt spray and getting banged around the boat will put any fisherman and his or her watch to the test, the ultimate test. Okay, especially if it's a multi-day fishing trip or charter. You're just going to beat the crap out of all of your equipment, especially your watch, because it's on your hands. You're fighting fish. You're dealing with all kinds of stuff. It's constantly in salt spray, constant in motion, and constantly being banged around. This watch has held up great. That brings us to the next place to test this watch, which is fishing wild, remote waters. The Explorer, this one here, held up wonderfully in some of the most wild and remote waters, from Alaska to Maine to Wyoming, to the backcountry of the Everglades. From being knocked around while shooting rapids in a drift boat to being knocked off your feet in the water while wading in swift current and cold water takes a toll on the equipment, from reels to watches. When I go wade fishing in the rivers, I invariably always fall in the river, banging my body, banging my equipment, banging my watch. So this watch has absolutely been abused by me out in the outback. So while the waters of the Everglades are calm and warm compared to those of Maine, Alaska, Wyoming, the environment is equally harsh with high temps, high humidity, and lots of mud and muck to go around. You can easily sink up to your knees in the Everglades. Probably the most fun I had with this watch was in the high Arctic during the summer solstice, the midnight sun, and exploring the tundra. The Explorer II Polar really shined, no pun intended, when it was in the high Arctic during the summer solstice. It's easy after several days and 24-hour daylight to get confused between day and night in the Arctic. It is practically midnight. I am at latitude 67 north, 24 minutes. I am north of the Arctic Circle, outside of Weissman, Alaska, and as you can see, this is the midnight sun. The dial, and the 24-hour hand set to local time make it very easy not to get confused between 10 o'clock and 2200 hours when the sun is the same in the sky during the summer solstice. So you can lose track between day and night, believe it or not, up in the Arctic. So those are some of the places I've taken the watch. And so where are some of the future places I'm going? Well, I have 2 trips in the Amazon scheduled, one for August of 22 and one for January of 23. Different parts of the Amazon River Basin. The first one is in the southern Amazon. The second one is in the northern part of the Amazon. And I expect it to also be tested with high humidity, rain, mud, muck, including a few river crossings that we're going to have to do. Also on deck for this baby is a Canadian Arctic expedition up to Baffin Island in 2024, where the Northwest Passage has been testing man and his equipment for centuries, often with catastrophic consequences if anything goes south. What are some final thoughts on comparing the Rolex Explorer II with other extreme watches? While the Casio G-Shock offers some of the same level of protection in the harshest environments as my Rolex does, the Rolex has many other advantages. First, the Rolex Explorer II is an automatic watch engineered for Mount Everest and extreme conditions from sub-zero to triple-digit temperatures. The Rolex Explorer II is made with the toughest of materials, such as oyster steel, most commonly used in aerospace and chemical industries where maximum resistance to corrosion is essential. Think about the mud and the muck in the Amazon and in the Everglades. The Rolex Explorer II is also designed to handle internal and external shocks, and we've tested that offshore fishing and banging around and landing on mountains in Alaska. The Rolex 2 allows one to walk in the footsteps of giants, knowing that your watch is part of an amazing heritage of exploration and it will not fail and there's no battery that's going to die. And finally, the Rolex Explorer 2 is equally cool as a tool watch, handling extreme conditions as it does at your base camp, enjoying a beer in the local bar when you return to civilization. And you got some good stories to tell, and you hopefully made it back on time. I love my Explorer 2. I have an Explorer 1 as well. That is more for me. I use that more as a dress watch, although that is also definitely an outdoor tool watch. That's it. That's all the time we got.
Great job. Go driver. Up. Here. Go driver. Driver. You want that passenger front tire on that high side of that rock. Go passenger. Just a little. Perfect. It's going to feel like it's sliding, but let the Bronco do what it's supposed to. Go passenger, passenger, passenger. Other way, passenger. Other passenger. There you go. There you go. You did good.
Oh, I got that on video, dude. Reel down, reel down. Don't let him get near that motor. Reel down. You're gonna break the rod. You're high sticking it.
Come here, Sharky, Sharky. One more time. Awesome. You don't want to put your hand in the water? If he takes your hand, we'll have video of it.
If you can find the camera. That's the key question. Where is the camera? We know where Mo's hand is now, attached to his body.